Don't suppose for a minute I know anything about my mother. I know her far less than you do.
In that case. But what nonsense are we talking? Of course you and your mother will get along capitally. What a charming little place you have here.
Rather a violent change of subject, Mr. Prey.
Mrs. Warren's confession.
Mrs. Warren's inflection?
Look, can he ever tell you who that girl's father is?
Never.
Have you any suspicion of who it might be?
None.
Look, I know that if she had said something, you might feel bound not to tell me. But it's going to be rather awkward now that we're going to be seeing the girl every day. I mean, we won't know how we ought to feel towards her.
What difference can that make? We take her on her own merits. What does it matter who her father was?
You know who the father was.
I said no just now. Did you not hear me?
Mrs. Warren's injection?
Mrs. Warren's possession.
Do you remember that piece of advice that you gave me back in July?
Ah, yes. I advised you to conquer your idleness and flippancy, to work your way into an honorable profession, and live on it and not upon me.
No, that's what you thought of afterwards. What you actually said was that since I had no brains, nor money, that I ought to put my good looks to good use by marrying somebody with both. And look here, Mrs. Warren, she has some brains. You can't deny that.
Brains are not everything.
Well, of course not, but then there's the money.
Mrs. Warren's reflection.
Mrs. Warren's impression?
Am I your mother? Oh, Vivi! You can't mean to turn on me, my own child. It's not natural. You believe me, don't you? Say you believe me.
Who was my father?
You don't know what you're asking. I can't answer that question.
Mrs. Warren's direction.
Mrs. Warren's dissection?